Hi everyone and welcome to the French Watch Collector. Today on the bench we have this beautiful chronograph Vetta, as you can see on the dial, and there is some parts missing on the chronograph, and you see it's not working. Obviously it's a bit difficult with all the parts missing on this chronograph. I've been away for a long time. I did not put a video for a while because some health issue. Now obviously I'm feeling better. I will tell you a bit more later on in a video. But now I can start working again on watches, my patient. So I will share this new video with you on this beautiful chronograph. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna open the case back, just using you see a blade there from a knife. You can see it's a stainless steel case back. And we can see inside this beautiful chronograph, you can see, and we'll see a bit later on what's the number. We can see the Vetta, which is written there on there. And wow, look at this. I know why it's not working, yeah? There is something definitely broken on a balance wheel there. Yeah, it looks like the balance staff is broken. So we'll have to replace that and see if we can fix it. And just checking there, even the chronograph is not working very well when I push on a button there. See, it's quite hard to move the parts. Maybe we see a bit of rust, like the oil and the grease inside. Maybe it's very old. I don't know when obviously is the last service on this watch. So obviously when we see all these issues, what we're going to do is we are going to do a full service on this watch. We're going to disassemble everything. So first, we need to get the dial first. And on this type of watch, it's coming from the front. And you can see there, we need to remove the front part with the crystal. Just going to protect the dial. And I'm going to remove the hand first. Just need to go underneath there. Here we go. The dial is quite in good shape actually. It's not bad for this vintage watch. Just put all the hands in this box. And we still have a couple of hands. Like we can see, we have the other hands from the chronograph. That's a minute, and that's a second, which is always running. It's not the second hand from the chronograph, obviously this one being in the center. Okay, so we remove the last few hands on the dial. Okay, we're just gonna open the case back again. And now we should see if we can push out the caliber out of the case. You see there is a pusher there which is just stuck. Gently just pushing it. Yeah, there we go, perfect. Just removing, you see the pusher here, and we're gonna release the dial, fit screw there. I just need to turn these screws just to release the dial on both sides. And now I can take the dial out of the caliber if you want. Hey, it looks quite clean inside there. Just keep the dial in this box just to make sure it doesn't get damaged. And we can start the disassembly. Removing here the cannon pinion with the Presto tool. And I'm gonna remove, obviously, you see the balance wheel, which we saw is broken. So just don't want to damage the hairspring, which is in a balance wheel during disassembly. So we're gonna remove it first. And if you did not subscribe to the channel, you just click on the subscribe button, and you can click as well on the bell icon. You will get a nice reminder if I put a new video out there. Okay, and you can see there, look at the balance shaft is broken. You see, like, we'll have obviously a part which is extended and which is broken. So we'll have to replace that a bit later. Oh, I forgot to remove the power inside the watch. I just, obviously, like, the balance was broken, so it was not running. And I forgot to remove, like, all the power which was in the main spring. And here, by removing, you see the pallet fork, all the power came out. Just going a bit slower there. There we go. We have all the power coming out through the train of wheel. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna disassemble like all the parts which are in a chronograph, which is all these parts which are on top there. So starting by removing, you see, like, some spring, and the spring are quite nice on this one, like all made in one piece. And actually, I did not tell you, but this caliber is a very famous chronograph caliber. It's a Valjoux 22, which is quite an old chronograph caliber. But being a Valjoux, after you will have Valjoux 23 and other Valjoux chronograph, which are like very nice chronograph calibers. But this one, yeah, being one of the oldest one, and obviously very nice. See some rust there on the parts. Removing, you see. I'm placing the screws as well, because you see on all these parts, each screw is tiny, like a small difference in each screw. So just to make sure I put them to the right place, I just put them back on a main plate. I'm just screw them back on the main plate so that when I will put the parts back together, I know where the screws are going. Yeah, that's a technique that I use, but I'm pretty sure that there is other technique, but this one is pretty easy. And here you can see, like, we have a bridge here with the chronograph wheel. That's for the second of the chronograph, and this is for the minute. And yeah, that's the last few parts. See this beautiful blue spring there for the chronograph wheel. And we have another spring here for the minute wheel. It's quite hard, like some of the parts are very stuck together. So obviously it will help when we clean all these parts. Another spring here. And you can see there this part that I'm disassembling here right now. This is a column wheel. So yeah, this is a column wheel chronograph, which is, yeah, quite a nice type of chronograph. And obviously being a Valjoux and from this era, a lot of nice chronograph caliber. And the Valjoux was one of the best one. And actually, some of these Valjoux were using, like, in very nice brands. Like, for example, Patek Philippe were using some of the Valjoux at the base, if you want to, and after they were all decorated and tuned by Patek. But actually, long time ago they were using this Valjoux caliber. So yeah, they are very nice quality chronograph. Okay, so now we remove, you see a bridge there, and we have, wow, I think I'm missing a couple of tips on this wheel. And removing the rest of the train of wheel there. Another bridge here, you can see we have 2 ruby on it, 2 jewels. And underneath we have, like, the rest of the train of wheel. And I think from this side we are pretty much done, like on the parts. We're moving on the dial side, on the keyless work, where we're gonna disassemble all the parts on this side as well. You can see underneath there the wheels with the minute wheel and few intermediate wheels. And we have the rest. And you see this one is a bit different. We have the yoke there, I see underneath. This is a setting lever. Very stock là, to be removed. There we go, it's coming there. Almost, yeah, that's it. And we see here the yoke. We have a spring which is kept in pairs with a screw. Oh, as a couple of parts came off underneath because, yeah, it was no stem. We have the clutch here and the winding pinion. And you see here, to remove the yoke, I have to remove the tension on the spring, unscrew the screw, and you see there is a shoulder on this screw, and now I can take out the yoke. And the last part here, we have the setting lever with the screw on the other side. Perfect. Just removing the jewel here from the balance wheel. Okay, so now what we're going to do first is we're going to clean the jewels and the different holes with a peg wool. We are going to peg all the jewels. And we have a couple of disassembly to do. We can see under the bridge there, we have the crown wheel. The wheels that connect from the ratchet wheel to the winding pinion. It's quite stuck there as well. And it's very dry. You don't see any oil or any grease anywhere. So it was probably serviced a long time ago. It's not that dirty. Obviously, we see some rust, so we're gonna try to remove the rust. And but the parts are not that bad. Yeah, not that dirty, but it's very, very dry. Just gonna remove the barrel assembly. Gonna remove the spring inside, the main spring. And we can see, yeah, there is a bit dirty. So removing the barrel hour and removing the spring. And let's check if the spring is okay. Oh, that looks strange. Like, oh yeah, that's a very old type of spring, yeah. So we'll have to replace that. I'm just polishing, you see the pivot there from all the wheels with a bit of hip flex. Just polishing the pivot just to make sure the friction is low is the minimum. And there you see I'm tightening the hole in the center because it was too much play. And here I'm using a smoothing brush just to open it a tiny bit, the size of the hole. And normally the wheels that go there will fit perfectly in position and it will be no play anymore. Here I'm just polishing, you see, the barrel assembly because it was like a bit of marks on it. So I'm polishing as well all the holes there just to make sure, again, like the friction is to a minimum. I'm just doing as well on the different parts. Well, I'm using again some E-flex just to polish the hole there. And you see I'm just going to remove the brush. If you see like kind of a brush here, just removing like the biggest part of the rust. And all the part after that will go into the cleaning machine. And you see there is quite a lot of dust from the rust on the bench. even if the balance wheel is broken, I'm just going to place it back like on the main plate because, yeah, I just want to make sure the air spring there doesn't get damaged during cleaning. So I just put it back on the main plate there as a safe place to keep it during cleaning. And now I'm going to put all the parts, you see, all the small parts in baskets, like all these, the small basket and the bigger baskets. And all these parts will go into my cleaning machine. Okay, so now I put the parts in a cleaning machine. And during the cleaning, I just want to tell you that I have a Patreon page, so you can find a link down below. And yeah, I had a few Patreon, but some left because obviously I did not put video for a while, but some of them stay here on my Patreon. So I would like to thank Aitor, Roger, Matt, David, Shaby, Jan, Rune, Courtney, Aileen, Tate, David, Tony, John, Tim, and Gregory. Thank you so much, guys, for keeping and supporting me even when I was not there. And now if you want to go to my Patreon, you can find a link down below in the description. And you can subscribe to my Patreon page and obviously support my work. Okay, so the parts are now clean. And they are as well dried up. So we can put all the parts back together and reassemble this beauty. First, you remember it was something broken there. The balance staff was broken, so we need to replace that. So I'm going to reassemble now, disassemble the balance wheel. And you can see there, I'm just going to take the rest of the balance wheel. And what I need here is to disassemble the rest of the balance, which means removing first the hairspring. So for this, we're going to put the balance wheel on this tool there to make it fully flat. And I'm going to use a pair of lever. And you see here first, I'm marking the position of the stud, which is on the end of the spring. So like that, when we put it back together, we put it to the exact same position. And you see here, I'm just removing, there we go, I'm just removing the hairspring. And you see, yeah, actually the balance is broken on both sides. And the same thing here, I'm marking, you see, you have a jewel on the roller there. So I'm marking the side where the jewel is going. And I'm using this tool there just to remove the roller. So basically we pinch it in between two sides, and you see, up now by pressing on it, it just went up. It's not fully loose yet, but it's almost here. Just pushing again. Here we go. That's it. Now it's detached. Okay, so I'm going to use my stacking set there. Just first, we're going to remove the broken balance staff. Just tapping on it gently. And that's it. We remove the broken balance staff. And what we're going to do now, just aligning, you see the plate there with the new balance staff. What we're going to do now, we're going to put the balance wheel. Just going to tap it first, just to make sure it stays fully flat on the balance staff. And I'm going to hammer it a couple of times. The first time with round like it's a round at the end of this punch. It's going to, if you want, open the rivet be in the balance staff. And now with a flat one, I'm going to flatten the rivet and to make it like fully in position inside the balance wheel. And here you see I put a bit of Rodico on the other side, and when I turn it, you see the balance was fully attached to the balance wheel. And when I test it here, you see, yeah, it's turning perfectly. So it means like the balance staff is right height. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put back the roller that I just removed, you remember, with the other tool. What I'm going to do now is just realign the jewels that I mark. There we go. And I'm just going to push it in position. Perfect. And now what I need to do is I need to balance the balance wheel, because obviously, yeah, you might have some, you want to have the weight which is the same all around the wheel. So what we're going to do now, we'll put it on this tool and just blow it a tiny bit to make it rotate. And you will see at one point, you will have the parts will start to oscillate. And it means that we have a heavier point below where I'm holding the wheel there. So what I need to do is I need to remove a tiny bit of weight. So for this, I'm using, you see, my tool there just to remove a tiny bit of metal here on one of the screw. And I will do this a couple of times until when you see when it stops now, it should not go back and forth. It will stop there perfectly. You see, it just stops. It doesn't go back. So it means that the wheel is perfectly like no weight, like it's fully the same all around the balance wheel. So that's what we wanted. It's the same thing when you change a tire, you know, on your wheel. You will see put weight all around the wheel. It's the same thing. It's to have the same weight, or like the equilibrium is exactly the same all around. Okay, so now you see I'm disassembling the rest of the balance wheel because I want to do some epilem treatment on these parts. Just put them in this bottle here. And the epilem, what we'll do is we'll help the oil that we put later on these parts to stay exactly in the same space where I put it. So you see that now the parts are coated with epilem. I'm just spraying the parts. I can reassemble the rest of the balance wheel, obviously. See there we have the parts and some tiny screws there. They are probably like the smallest screws that you will see on a caliber. Just put now the second one. And now I just put a drop of oil with my automatic oiler there. So some 90-10 oil. You're going to put back as well the other jewel, which is on the other side of the balance wheel. You remember we put epilem on this one as well. And we're going to put some oil as well on this one. A drop of oil. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the hairspring back in position. Again, we need to align, you see, the end there of the spring on the marks that I just did before. And I'm just going to press it in position. And I'm going to reassemble everything like on a balance. And obviously we're going to check now if everything is okay with the balance wheel. Well, I'll put it back on the main plate. So we're just going to align, you remember the jewels that I just oiled with my automatic oiler. Just put everything in position, gently. And you see blowing some hair there to see, and you see like, that's not good. Like it stopped very quickly, like there is too much friction. There is something wrong with the balance. So I need to look at it. And actually I saw that the collet that you have inside, in the center of the hairspring there, was loose. So you see with this tool, I'm tightening the collet very so slightly. Perfect. You see there, it's becoming smaller. There we go. So now it's a bit tighter. So I'm going to put it back on a balance wheel like we did before. And we're going to reassemble everything and we're going to test again, see if the issue was coming from there or if it was something else that was creating the friction. Just screwing there, you see these screws which is holding in position the hairspring, and we just put it back. There we go. Our last looks better already. Gonna tie everything just to make sure it will be like same position at the end. And you see by blowing, see if it's running. Oh yeah, that looks much better. You see it doesn't stop like it was. Yes, perfect. And you see it keeping going again. Obviously at one point it will stop, but it will stop very slowly. So that's perfect. Okay, we're going to reassemble now the barrel assembly. Because remember it was an old type of spring inside. So I have a brand new one, especially for this caliber, for the Valjoux 22. Just going to press, you see, this spring inside. There we go. Going to reassemble the rest of the barrel assembly. Putting it there, the barrel arbor. And placing the lid on top of it. Just going to close now the balance assembly by using this tool. Just going to put it inside. And what we're going to do, we're going to press on top of it and it will close the balance assembly. You see there. Perfect. And the last couple of steps on this assembly is to oil, you see there, the barrel arbor on both sides. Very important. And now we will start assembling the rest of the watch. So first, you see on the bridge here, we have the crown wheel underneath. Using a bit of oil there because you see you have some friction here on this part. So I'm putting the wheel. So my automatic oiler, you see some 9104 inside. And I'm placing, you see the part that will keep everything together with the screws. We have the click on this side, you see, so I'm just gonna keep the spring out of the way before I put the part in position. And now I can release the spring on it. And there we go, we put here a bit of oil, removing the excess, and we can carry on with the rest of the watch. So what we're going to do now, we're going to assemble the rest of the watch with the train of wheel by putting there the mainspring assembly that we reassembled together just a bit before. We're going to put the escape wheel and the rest of the train of wheel, you see, gonna align all the wheels in the jewels. So you see this one there. Perfect. Another one here. And the last one, which is the one that will go right in the center. Just putting a drop of oil there on the shoulder there that will go through the center of the main plate. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna put the bridge. So the first one is a small bridge where we have 2 joules, so which are aligning with 2 wheels there. So very gently we're gonna align. You see you need to be very careful. And you see here, yeah, the wheels are turning, so they are aligned. And we can put the screws in position. Just so we see now, the bridge will be tied to the main plate. Perfect. Okay, so we have this ratchet wheel that was broken. You see that there is some teeth broken. So what we're gonna do first, I order a brand new one, but we're gonna put this wheel right now just to make sure everything is working while I'm waiting to get this part. And you see, I need to put it underneath the center wheel here. And when it's in position, I can put this big 3/4 plate in position, realign everything. Oh yeah, it looks like it went in place directly. Perfect. We're gonna put the screws like we did on the other small bridge. And when it's in position, obviously we're gonna see if everything is turning. Oh yeah, that looks good. You see when I'm turning the barrel arbor, looks like everything is turning perfectly. So we're gonna put a bit of oil on all the pivot point. So I put different type of oil, some oil with like a medium viscosity, some with a low viscosity, depending on which wheel. We do the same thing on the dial side. And you see there, I'm using my automatic oiler. There we go. And now what we're gonna reassemble the keyless work. And you see there, I'm using some blue grease, some 9504. Obviously on this part, you will see a lot of tension between these parts. So you don't want to use oil, you want to use grease, which is better if you have like tension between the parts to make sure like they don't wear or they don't break. You remember on this watch, there was no crown and no winding stem. So I just bought a brand new winding stem for this caliber. And I'm just going to put a crown now. I just took one and we see if it fits or no. And if it doesn't, we will change it a bit later. But for now, just to reassemble the rest of the caliber, just going to keep this crown. And you see here on the winding stem, I'm just putting this blue grease. And we can put it back. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I just got some new parts. So I'm just removing, you remember, this 3/4 plate. So I want to change because we saw that everything was turning, everything was moving. So it looks okay. So I'm just going to remove the ratchet wheel. And as well, this part, we're going to change it because on the other side, the setting lever was broken. So I have a brand new setting lever with a brand new screw. So I'm just going to remove now, you see this ratchet wheel, which is broken. And you can see the brand new one next to it. So this one up in the garbage, and this one straight back on the caliber. Just put it back on the main spring here, assembly, the barrel assembly. Perfect. So we can reassemble the rest. And you see now that's a brand new setting lever. I'm just removing the screw that was with it, a brand new screw as well. Just gonna place it back. And we can put back the 3/4 plates in position. There we go. And now on the dial side, you see that's a brand new, like I said, setting lever that I need to put in position. And we need to screw it from the other side. So you see, I keep it with my fingers. And I'm using my Eurotech screwdriver there just to tighten the screw. And yeah, there we go. You see, everything is moving perfectly. Okay, so we're gonna carry on reassembling the keyless work. So I'm putting the cannon pinion. And we're gonna put now the yoke. And you remember this one is quite tricky. We need to keep the spring out of the way and under tension with one tweezer, and put the yoke with the other tweezer. Align everything. While keeping everything, I just put the screw there. I need to put a drop of oil on the shoulder, which is on the screw here, because obviously it will be the pivot point for the yoke. Perfect. And now I need to screw it back while keeping the spring under tension. There we go. Now a drop of oil there, and that's it. The yoke is assembled. I'm greasing as well again with the blue grease you see there, all the contact point. The setting lever, the spring, and we have the last few wheels, which is on a keyless work there. So putting some oil first on the pivot point, and we can place all the wheels. And the last parts. There we go, perfect. And that's it. I think we are pretty much with the keyless work, and let's see if it works. Yeah, we have the different position. Yeah, everything is turning. That looks good now. Perfect. Okay, so we can carry on with the pallet fork, sorry. Just go realign the jewel there and put the pallet fork in position. Gonna put the cock back on top. And you see here, we're gonna try to align the jewel on top here. Yeah, there we go. That's it. It's in position. Perfect. So after that, yeah, on the palette fork, we're just gonna wind the watch, see if it works. Yeah, it looks like the winding is working. And we're just gonna oil. You see, I just put a drop of oil there on the exiting joule of the palette fork. And you see, I just put a drop. I'm just gonna remove the palette fork from 5 position. You see 1, 3, 4, 5. And we're gonna do that 3 times. So now we're gonna do the second time, just putting a drop of grease actually there. And do it 5 times again. I'm gonna do a third time. And that's it. The palette fork is fully oiled and greased. And so now we can put the balance wheel. And obviously we'll have the real moment, see if the caliber is working again, because remember at the beginning it was not working with a lot of issues on it. So let's see if we manage to fix the first step, let's say. Oh yes, perfect. The movement is working and it's beating, and it looks like it's beating nicely as well. So we'll see at the end which type of result we are getting on the watch. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we have the caliber which is working again. Basically now we have a normal caliber that can keep time. But what we need to do is we need to reassemble the complication, which is on this watch, the chronograph complication. So what we're going to do now, we're going to reassemble all the parts for the chronograph and see if it works as well. So we're going to place each parts, each spring, everything that needs to be done on the chronograph. So you see now we're going to put back the column wheel. Again, like the column wheel is it's the nice type of chronograph. If you want, it's the brain of the chronograph. These parts will make everything move together when you start, reset, or stop the chronograph. So basically, that's what's everything move for all these 3 functions. So yeah, that's what I say. Let's like the brain if you want. So it's a very important part. Gonna put the chronograph wheel, the minute first here. Gonna put now the second from the chronograph with the chronograph center wheel here. Perfectly. Just oiling the taser, the art cam, which are the parts which are used to when you want to do reset the chronograph, put it to 0. That's the parts that are using the 0 position. You will see a bit later. So it's very important to put some oil on it, because yeah, you want it to be exactly at the same position. Obviously, being 0, you want it to be to 0 each time you reset your chronograph. And there I'm putting the chronograph bridge, realigning everything you see there on the joules. There we go. Perfect. You see the parts which are used for the chronograph on the bench, and you will see each time we use the list of parts, we go like smaller and smaller each time that there is a part going back on the caliber. This is a part which is used for the pusher, just to stop, start, or reset the watch. We have the same thing with this long part you see here. Gonna first oil the finger which is at the end here. And these parts, will connect from one pusher to the column wheel, you see, with this finger at the end. I will put it in position a bit later. But first I need to put this screw here. which has a shoulder and which is a pivot point. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna place, the finger against the column wheel, putting some grease here because, like I said, this part is very important in a chronograph, so you want it to be smooth. And that's why, as well, like when you have a column wheel chronograph, it has a nice feel when you push on a button, and that's one of the reasons it's normally nicer than a cam chronograph, being a column wheel. So yeah, you want it to be nice and lubricated to make it smooth when you push on it. We're gonna place, obviously, on a chronograph there is a lot of springs, so we're gonna place all the spring back together. Again, we need to oil and grease all the spring to have like a nice operation of the chronograph. And I love this spring, like which are made like in one piece of steel there, probably machined at the time, or maybe even by hand, because this is a very old caliber. Just placing the brake there. And you see again we are greasing and all the parts which are in contact to each other. Obviously, two things, two reasons why we grease the parts. First, for the parts to be nice and working together and smooth. And as well, because we have metal against metal. So if you don't put any oil or any grease, it's like if you are in your car, like between the cylinders, like you put oil in it, you just want to reduce the friction, and you don't want to have the parts to wear between each other, because metal against metal, they will wear, and at one point they will break. So that's why you need to do as well a service in your watch once in a while, because the oil will disappear after a while, or it will not be as good as what it is when it's brand new. So that's why you need to do a service, like you do it in your car, like for the engine on your car. You want to change the oil once in a while. It's the same in a watch, or else the parts, like the friction, will start to go up, and at one point your watch will not run nicely, or will not be as accurate. And at one point, if you carry on, it's like in an engine, if you don't change a wheel, at one point your engine will blow up. It's the same in a watch. Some parts will broken. So that's why it's very important to do a service at regular intervals, especially if you take care of your watch. Yeah? And obviously you see on his watch, there are maybe some of the watch 50 years old, 60 years old, probably even more on this one. And you see, if you do a proper service, at one point, a watch can last for centuries. So yeah, it's very important. But after, if you don't, some parts will break. Sometimes it's difficult to find the parts. So, but yeah, if you do it properly, it will last for generation. Any mechanical watch. So yeah, that's very important. Okay, we carry on with the rest of the chronograph. You see still more parts, more spring there in position. And you can see there on a bench, it was only, I think, 3 parts left from the chronograph. Just checking there. Yeah, we have the start and stop here, which is working. We see the column wing moving. And we have here the reset. Yeah, that looks good. We have the hammer coming on the heart-shaped cam there. And the wheels go back to 0. Gonna put chronograph driving wheel. Friction mounting on a pivot point there. Just gonna Or you see this wheel there on the clutch. And we're gonna put in position the clutch. There we go. And we can see there the clutch which is turning, and this part basically what it does, like in your car, it's a clutch as well on your car. It will just transmit the power from one side to the other. You can see there the clutch is not in contact with the chronograph center wheel. And at one point when you start a chrono, the clutch will come in contact with the center wheel from the chronograph, and the chronograph will start running. So that's the position of the clutch to be engaged or disengaged with the chronograph. We have the last spring here. Perfect. Just gonna realign the chronograph driving wheel here exactly to the same level of the clutch. There we go. It looks good. And we check now. And you see now when the clutch comes in contact with the center wheel, it turns. Now it stops, and you see it can come yes or no between in contact to the chronograph wheel. And now we have the 0. Yes, there we go. Perfect. Just going to check if the minute wheel as well is turning. So we'll see we have like a finger that will come right now in connection, you see, and tack, we saw the minute wheel moving, so that's perfect. I just put the balance wheel on time grapher, and I saw that the bit error was quite low. It was at 4.5 milliseconds. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to adjust the balance wheel, because you see there is no automatic adjustment on this balance wheel. So we have to do it the manual way, and you will see how it's done. So I need to disassemble the balance wheel again. And what I need to do is I need to turn very gently. You see here the collet that we tighten. Just turn it a tiny bit to have the entire air spring, which is, you see, a tiny angle which was moved. And now we put it back in position. And obviously we'll have to do that a couple of times. And what I'll have to do is have the bit error below 1 millisecond, and we'll see at the end which type of result we can get. Okay, so now we're gonna reassemble our wheel on the dial side. Put our wheel here. There we go. Just putting a spring here, and we place back this beautiful. And now we just can tighten the rest of the dial. Just gonna remove the crown here, just to put back everything together in the case. And we saw that the dial comes from the top on this case. Just put it in position. I'm just gonna tighten the screw which is inside, just to make sure the caliber will stay and doesn't move inside the case. Placing, like you see, the second pusher here. Need to align it like there is a hole there. There we go, perfect. I'm just gonna polish ever so slightly the end on this watch. So the hour hand, we do the same thing on the minute hand as well, and we're gonna do that on all the hand from this watch. We have the chronograph hands, and we have as well all the tiny small hand from the sub counters. And now we're gonna put back the hand back on the dial. So just pressing now the hour hand. Just gonna align it to 12 o'clock. It's easier to do, you see, when it's on in the case, because on a chronograph you can use the pushers to set the hand as well. We're now going to do the minute hand, which need to be aligned with the hour hand to midnight. Perfect. We have the second hand from the time, which is always running. And you see now I'm pressing it in pace. Here we go. This is the second hand from the chronograph. So we're going to align as well to the 0 position. I'm going to place it in position, and if it moves, we're going to realign it until it's fully in position. And let's check. We stop, we reset. Yeah, perfect. On the 0 there. So that looks quite good actually for alignment of this second hand, which is very thin. So quite tricky to align. You just want it to be perfect. Yeah. And the last one, which is a minute hand from the chronograph. So we're going to align it to the 0 position. And we're going to check. Going to let the chronograph running a bit. We see the minute hand ticking. And let's check the reset. Yeah, perfect. Everything is back to 0. Okay, we can close the front with a brand new crystal you see there. It looks beautiful. And we have a couple of things to do. Here we go, now it's fully closed. What we're going to do, we're going to adjust. You see the winding stem is way too long. So we're going to measure it there. Take the winding stem out of the case. Remove the crown. And we're going to mark the length that we just took together. Now we just cut it there. Just going to finish the end just to be smooth and to be able to be screwed back in the crown. Just a bit of thread lock there, some Loctite, just to make sure the crown will stay in position. And let's check there. You see, we're just going to tighten now the winding stem. Oh yeah, it looks like the position is perfect. Just going to put a brand new bracelet there, and obviously what's need to be done after is we just need to check if the watch is running perfect or not on this watch, and see if the chronograph as well is running. Now it's fully assembled, everything is running. Just going to do a quick check, and let's see if the chronograph is running. Yeah, that looks good. So just a quick information. I have my own web chat, so you can go there and check some information on the YouTube video. I put a link down below in the description, and as well I will put a link on the top right corner. I'm selling some of the watch that I'm restoring on the channel. And as well, if you want to send your watch to be restored, you can go there and contact me, and I will be very happy to restore your watch. So you will find the link down below in the description of this video. Okay, so now we keep the watch for a couple of days on this winder just to make sure the oil and everything goes together. And we put the watch back on the time grapher, and you will see the result: amplitude 287 to 90, which is perfect. The rate is perfect. The beater is perfect. And actually this watch, I will put it to auction for you on eBay. I will put a link down below in the description as well of this watch. I will put a link on the top right corner as well if you want to go and watch this beautiful vintage chronograph with a very iconic Vajoux 22 caliber, and look at this beauty. So I hope you you like my video, and I see you next time. Bye bye.